Welcome to That RPG podcast, where every great adventure starts with a single idea.
I'm DQ, your friendly neighborhood GM.
I'm Courtney Staples, and I'm really happy with the state of democracy right now.
And I'm Johnny Law, and I'm barely holding it together. Yeah, so things have been interesting in the first 6 days of this year that we're now recording, and we're not thinking about that, though. We're thinking about our own dumpster fires that we're going to have in games, because those are the dumpster fires that I can go to bed and still sleep while thinking about, as opposed to that. So anyway, what is our adventure hook for the evening, Mr. DQ?
Our adventure hook today, labeled The Moving Forest. I mean, it's fascinating that now these have titles that come with them. It's like they're developing movies here, and we're just going to be the grunts making the work for it. The Moving Forest reads, trails shift overnight, and maps become useless to the local villages. They soon discover it was the work of a haggard witch that was overpowered by her cursed animals that have become a hive mind. 3 facts are, 1, the curse started with a plague, like the swine flu. Yay. 2, the magic has spread beyond its intended effect. And 3, the curse no longer identifies the difference between plant, animal, or mineral. Well, that's not nice.
Or mineral.
Interesting.
Sounds like COVID.
I think COVID didn't deal with minerals.
I was going to say, I don't think COVID impacted.
Right? This really has nothing to do with COVID.
Right away, the trail shifting overnight has me thinking of those like top-down adventure games where each screen is like a different little map in itself, that you like the old Zeldas and stuff, shifting like that in this forest. So that's what I'm picturing, like old top-down Nintendo game or something.
We're talking like the Zelda one where it's like it shows another map when you get to the
Yeah,
end.
exactly. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I always got the shit of Zelda. I never got Super Nintendo. My parents literally made every wrong choice. They bought Super Nintendo, it's a Sega instead of Super Nintendo, N64 instead of PlayStation.
N64 is good.
But PlayStation,
Sega had Altered Beast.
I didn't even get that one.
It came with the system.
I didn't get it. I got Super Sonic instead.
Oh, okay. That's after, yeah.
It's the worst.
I know you've continued that gaming luck by buying into No Man's Sky right at release, and then Diablo 4.
I got No Man's Sky refunded though.
It's apparently way better now.
Now it's like game of the year.
I played it for like a day and I'm like, this is dumb. Sorry, I distracted. Nintendo games, you were saying.
Yes, that's like the vibe that I'm getting here. If we could somehow have an environment where that was the case, where like the forest or whatever is constructed in such a way that you only see certain amounts at a time, and stuff can shift around. I'm definitely stumped on the hive mind thing though. Like it adds, not to crap in the prompts, but it just adds this layer that I don't know if it needs to be there. So I'm wondering if we can like do something, if we can do a Daniel-esque interpretation of what a hive mind is.
Well, so I feel like we got to pick apart some things here.
Yeah.
It's a big bit of a gooey mess. So it sounds like, all right, the trails, the woods are shifting. That's the main problem that the villagers are immediately facing, right? What they don't know is that they will soon discover though, is that there's some witch that's been found on her own, but then magic bit her in the and took over, and now the magic has run rampant. And that's why these things are shifting, because now it's moved to plants. It's the actual trees are moving on their own in a hive mind way.
Maybe that's why the environment's shifting, because the plants themselves are moving.
Yeah.
Right. They're like deciding to move for whatever reason.
The people they don't know about the witch yet. Like you think about like an M. Night Shyamalan movie. All they know is that the maps don't work anymore. And it's weird. And then someone starts measuring the trees and notice the trees. Because obviously the trees can't like just get up and like, like they don't have the actual, but trees can actually move. Like that's not a thing that doesn't happen in real life.
I like your goofy tree though. Like the actual.
He'll be making a return. Don't worry, him and his friends. Because we're gonna do a twist and hopefully it's make it goofy or something. But anyway, so you're following me though. Like that's like we're looking at everything right now and it's too much. But I think like if you go through it slowly, it does kind of
like hive mind can be the idea of them if it like moving from form to form makes you think like a virus glob kind of deal, which in a sense those are undifferentiated sort of cells. They're all merged together. Or if you think like of a mushroom network, like, or what are they called, like mycelial, yeah. That's like a hive mind in a sense. So maybe we can think of the forest as a single organism, and because all the animals are now intermingling.
They're all connecting to the same Wi-Fi, but it's also something's causing them to move. And like obviously like, minerals don't have any form of locomotion besides gravity. So like you're not going to see them reacting necessarily.
You have rock golems.
But unless you want to go that route where it becomes more magical. Like I don't know. I feel like
another way to consider it would be like if the hive mind is impacting the villagers in that it's making them see shifts where things are not actually shifting. Like it's like if you see in the Doctor Who episode with like the weeping angels where like if you look away for a second they can move like instantly. It could be something like that where like you turn around and you look back at the fork in the road, then you like glance over here, turn around again, and then the fork is now like a straight line. And it's like, wait, what just happened there? So that could be another way to interpret the hive mind aspect.
I mean, since what we're doing here is trying to create an adventure, what appeals to us from a player perspective? Like what kind of adventure would we want to play? We want to play in a world that's kind of like the Zelda shifting environment that's literally shifting, or the kind of environment that our senses are being preyed upon?
Do we want to decide a genre, or are we just keeping that open and we're going to figure this part out first?
Well, that's why I figure like this choice might help determine the genre. Because, for example, if it goes the Weeping Angels route, that's certainly darker than if it went the physical environment shifting route, right?
So the overall vibe, though, besides the Zelda top down, like I like that as a base frame of mind that I'm working off here. But it seems like it's a bit of a mystery, and that the quest is to find out what the and eventually you soon find out, because it says that it's soon discover that it's the Haggard witch that's now dead, or the final form or something. And now we need to figure out how to reverse the spell. That's going to be the quest.
Yeah, and venturing into the strange wild seems to be the bulk of the quest.
And the fact that the magic keeps spreading beyond its intended effect, I think that's later on you get the rock golems and things like that, where the magic is now breaking the laws that we know of physics.
No Man's Sky. It gets weirder the further out you go. Look at that.
I like that. Yeah.
Maybe we're actually like going past her house to like where she got the stuff, and that's where the magic actually resides. Or maybe it was a trick. Maybe it was the devil all along. I don't know. We'll figure out that part.
Well, what's the I mean, that's a question about direction too. So she starts this someplace, right? It starts to spread out. It affects the village, and it's spreading further out. So does that mean? I assume they would travel to the inciting incident to discover the witch's problem would be going to her, and then once you figure that's the source of the problem, then what do you go further out, and it gets weirder as it goes further out from the 0 point, because the villages seem to be near the 0 point since they're impacted by it initially.
Yeah, I guess the way that I was thinking about it is like thinking to Annihilation, the book and the movie, how it's like there's an epicenter of upness that they can approach, and things get like weirder and weirder and weirder as you go. Like I was picturing that being either the witch's cabin or wherever she wound up in whatever form she's in. But again, now I'm wondering if I'm going like way too dark in this, and like
I'm thinking also a very similar thing happens to Expanse, which neither of you would know because but
it's in my list.
It's been on your list for years.
I stopped in season 4.
Oh wait, you stopped season 4. Sorry, Cardi.
So I think I know what you're.
Get lost. No, I don't. Was a lighter. But anyway, yeah, we don't have to talk about. But there's a certain thing that it has areas of concentration. So I think like when you get to the witch's spot, then you see what the extent of this curse is. I think like the villagers don't know it's a curse to start with. They just know maps are getting fucked up. They don't know the reason why. So I think that's like the halfway reveals. You get to the witches thing. You're like, oh yeah, that's the act 1.
So what I'm asking, and just in terms of direction, is the final destination outside of their realm, because it spreads and gets worse, and is the witch's presence, which must be close to the village, just an example of the terrible things it could do? Because we find it early.
The witches is the halfway point. Like that's the end of Act 1 when you get to her, and whether she's dead or you have to fight her in this weird form. I mean, we can flesh out all that or not. I know, but I think the thing is that wherever this originally started from, or wherever she was enacting, that's the final. That's like so deep in the woods, the dark woods, or something, or underground.
Maybe where she found the materials to do the work. She came home, got corrupted.
Are we just making Stranger Things?
It was about his fears, though. He was scared of his friends leaving him because he was gay. Anyway, sorry.
But the reason why I asked the question, I just want to understand the directional quality of it. But
I guess the way I was picturing it was, I'm almost hesitant to make the witch be like the halfway point in herself, in part because of the parallel to Stranger Things that just wrapped up. But I don't know, like I could see her traveling from her cabin once she realized what was going on. Or yeah, I don't want to like completely override your idea.
Is the concern you don't want to put too much importance on her presence?
Oh, like I'm fine with her being very important. It's more like I don't want it to be like, oh, we thought it was the witch, but it's actually this like it's actually Satan or something.
Oh, okay.
Because I could see an obvious thing being that maybe the witch had a good reason for doing what she
Yeah.
did. It up, that would make sense given the context. That's an option for the GM potentially in explaining it. But I just want to understand before we move too far into like genre and pinning things down is the direction of the adventure.
Mhm.
And so that is like we're saying the halfway point is discovering, or at least was the halfway point or maybe early on, discovering the witch's situation and the reason why we need to go out and solve this problem. But since we've established that things get weirder in some gradient, is the weirdness the further we go out and venture, or is the weirdness at home and spreading outward? Like which direction are we going as adventurers? Like, because if the witches, I can see the witch's home being near the village, but being heavily impacted by whatever this radiation is because she brought it home.
Yeah.
To give you a demo of the horror you're going to experience if you go all the way out there.
Yeah.
Do we think that's reasonable?
Yeah, I like that idea.
She doesn't have to be there, like you're saying. No, she could be way out.
Like
at
she
the end of the
fled at
game,
some point.
But I think that figuring out what's going on is a close to home thing based on the prompt.
I was thinking like a fear the light aspect thing where you think you're going after the witch.
Yeah.
But then when you get to the witch, you're like, oh, and it's not, doesn't have to be like there's a bigger bad, but that she was a catalyst, but she's not the cause. So now the cause, you're seeing that the thing is spreading out like a mushroom, like trying to find back to its base root or something like that, wherever she took it from.
Oh, that's interesting.
And so that's why like it's kind of gotten to the village, but it's realizing that's not the right direction. So it's just affecting the area.
Like she was trying to graft a part of a tree from this like magical, mystical life tree or something onto her own tree, and things went really wrong.
And she may have had a good reason if it's from a mystical life tree. Maybe she was trying to do something to help someone or herself or someone. Maybe
she's a witch, so she'd be doing bad stuff. That's just how.
Hey.
Okay. That I think we have enough there to be in alignment. So then the question is genre. Are we going dark with this? Are we going somewhere in the middle? I could see as a compromise folklore dark, like Grimm's fairy tales, not totally Grimm's because they're pretty fucked, but like in that spectrum.
Like once again, I'm very linked into the Expanse, but not sci-fi. 100% not sci-fi, obviously. But like that, like where Expanse isn't like horror sci-fi, but it has minor elements of it, and it has the mystery, and like it's I like that kind of taking that to the Grimm's fairy tale. So it's not, children go to the woods and get eaten necessarily. Like I think it's the opposite, that the people hadn't worried about too much, and they knew about the witch, and there's like some dark magic stuff, but nothing like this has ever happened. So I think that is kind of cool, but definitely not like God Beyond the Portal, like there don't need to be cultists and stuff like that.
Yeah, I'm okay not going full Annihilation.
So I think middle, right? Yeah, like
dark folklore, not dark fantasy folklore, but traditional folklore as it would be understood in the Grimm's fairy tales. What's really interesting to me from an adventure perspective is the notion of the environment changing. So I wonder, how do you simulate that mechanic? Because this will lead us into questions about nodes and the structure of the adventure, but there seems to be a central mechanic that needs to talk about the fact that we're lost in a known place. And I think it was a perfect visual talking about the top-down view in Link, where when you go to a different zone, it looks completely different. That kind of thing is a good metaphor for it. But mechanically, like as players, how is a GM communicating this to us? As an example, I'm not suggesting this, but as an example, you might have a map and everyone knows the map, everyone sees the map, and it shows all the things on the map. But that map is now unreliable in some way. So how do we represent that?
I mean, I think, besides just like dice roll mechanics, obviously would be part of it because that's what we do when we're playing dice. I mean, or you could get like cards, it'd be a bit crazy. But I like the idea of like having several maps and just kind of flipping back, like depending what the die roll is. And it could be hidden or it could be open. You go back to that map. Like, so it's, you don't know which map you're going to follow. Like, if you're going to go right, might not be going right. You might be going, it might be open up to a chasm because that's on the other map.
So like map, I can see that being done with map layers. Like maybe there's the known map, right, that everyone's familiar with. And as you make a narrative move, the GM rolls and picks from a stack of maps and places that map over your location. So now you're in the location on this other map,
Yeah.
which has perils attached to it. And then as I move again, I roll. Now you're on this location from this other map. So you're never, you know, the general direction and geography of the place, but the contents and what is in that section, the contents of that part of the map varies depending on which map you're on.
You could even have a certain role. You turn the map. Like it could be like, it could, yeah, I mean, I feel like you can get really weird with that and overcomplicate and become a whole game itself. But
Yeah, I was thinking of like a board game mechanic where like, I don't know, just thinking about the game Code Names, for example, which is not map based at all, but just laying out the grid of words. And then like to play another game, you just flip them over. What if it's like you lay down 2 or 3 layers of cards and like the top layer is the map that the players have, and as you like remove cards or flip cards, that's what they actually like get down to. So it's all laid out to begin with. But
wait, walk me through that. I want to visualize that more. I don't get it, but I'm interested, but I don't understand.
it's more like Landmarks, though, that game that we were playing.
yeah, kind of.
Right. I mean, but not with that weird.
This is an example, like in our previous episode, where visual aids are very important.
So let's say like you have 2 layers of cards, or maybe 3, and the top one is like just what the players have as their map, or the characters have as their map.
Face up.
It's like the real world. Yeah, face up. And then as they explore, you could like remove a card to reveal the one below it, or like flip it over and see what's underneath. And so it's just like, yeah, like a randomized thing.
So what I'm going to suggest here, and we don't have to go too deep, or we can go too deep into it, is because we're not creating a new, TTRPG. We're just trying to create Adventure Hook. So what I would say is, what if you had a deck of cards, 52 cards, and you made a map with layers, and then what color the card was and what range of numbers could mean something. Like,
yeah.
I don't know. Like, once again, like, I don't know, like, how it would definitely be something that we want to get really deep into. But
I think that's clean enough that then you can attach it to any RPG system, because you just then correlate the suits and the numbers to the table, right? So whether you're playing 5e or OSR Plus or Daggerheart or whatever, like it doesn't affect the mechanics of the game. It's a layer on top.
And it's just a map, part of the map crawl. It's like not even the whole. It's to get you from node to node.
It's moving you, yeah.
It's not like it's like a dungeon crawl, like how you have the built.
You could even have the big suits be, and this moves us into questions of nodes. The big suits be nodes that you have planned out in a more specific way. So like face cards like jacks, kings, queens, maybe they represent your nodes in your actual node map, whereas the rest are more like incidental random stuff.
Yeah.
Oh, that's interesting.
And the jokers are like the really weird.
Yeah, the stuff. Or maybe even the jokers are like moments. I mean, they're very rare, right?
Well, now there's 54.
It's interesting with cards because now you have opportunities to map all these suits and numbers to different mechanics in your own game. So you can have downtime suits. You can have encounter suits. It depends on how you want to treat it, right?
Yeah.
But before we get to nodes, we have to figure out as players, who are we in this adventure?
We're just a bunch of villagers, right? I mean, we just recently played a game with villagers that Daniel ran for us, the Halloween themed one.
I can't wait to put that one on stage.
So we're doing lore-ish, right? So there's got to be like the woodsman.
Yeah, obviously.
Like the folklore, and that'll be your most physical guy. But I was also thinking like it would be cool if we had, even though they're villagers, they had something that pertained to this mystery, so to speak. So like the woodsman maybe would have advantage on finding the right path, or could like re-roll or do something to affect.
Oh, maybe he can change the card to something favorable.
Yeah. So many times, or spend MP or whatever, because it's like their familiarity with the woods. Also, hunter would be thing. I was just trying to not do like what we've always done. But then like there could be, same thing. There could be a farmer or farmhand that is more familiar with the earth and would be able to know changes in soil.
Maybe he
types,
could change
like
the terrain involved, something like that.
Or like insight on what's going to be coming up based on what is currently there. Something like that.
Oh, I like that. You can like look at the card.
Yeah, something like that.
To give them the benefit against either. So we haven't talked about like if this curse is attacking humans or not. Like, are they at danger, or is it like exposure thing? Like if you're around it for too long.
Maybe that's the final form. Person who submitted this listed it in a direction of plant, animal, mineral, but it could have gone mineral, plant, animal, then
Yeah.
It just doesn't know the difference. But I think that's what it might have started with. In my mind was plant, and then somehow it has done mineral and animal. But it's like it's
maybe sentience is hard to grab onto.
it's harder. Yeah, the smart or something is, or more sentient it is, interactive. It's harder for it to take over.
And what is I mean, this is a silly question. What exactly does the plague do?
I was also wondering that, like, do we need to figure out what its goal is?
Well, and my thought, the origin of it was the witch was her revenge or something like that. Like that she was going to get these town or whatever, or some other person or some other group, maybe another coven of witches. Maybe it's witch on witch violence. And then that her hubris, it blew up on her and backed over. But yeah, what does it do besides? I think it brings you to the hive mind. So I think that's what it does. Like it kills off the soul.
It's a pluribus situation.
Yeah, kind of, but like not nice though. I think this is way more aggressive.
I like the idea that we can set aside the cause, right? Because that could be up to the GM and their campaign, but the effects is what we're trying to figure out. So one idea is it brings you into the hive mind, which could mean then do we encounter other villages where everyone is a hive mind, kind of like in Will's game?
The magic has spread beyond its intended effect. So even though we don't care who she was doing it against or whatever, what was her intended effect was to probably charm or to something.
I mean, if we go with the whole witches always have to be evil thing, then was she trying to ensorcel the villagers themselves, or take the land under her control using this grafted whatever?
So say the overt idea is that it was something negative and charming and dominating, right? If you wanted to subvert that as a GM, you could add a layer later where it's no, she wanted to seduce the noble because the noble was up to no good, and by seducing him, she'd be able to help XYZ, but it went out of control. There's ways to subvert it, but if we're going to say it has to do with charm, domination, mind control, then that makes sense for it to have. That's when the villagers start to notice it. But I don't know if there's a disconnect with that and the environment changing. Why does the environment change if it's a charm thing?
That was my initial thought too, thinking about the scenario is is she trying to do something beneficial for the environment? Maybe the soil was just extra shitty and overworked, and she was trying to bring life back to the area. But I guess on the flip side, it could be that she's trying to curse the area, or even make it slowly move towards the epicenter.
I like this. Maybe it's the magic itself was initially something to do with bringing lost souls and infusing them into the world to try to make the world better. But then it got out of hand. Now these souls are just grabbing for things, and they're trying to find homes. And so it's hard. And like I said, I still like the idea that it's hard to get into more sentient beings. It's easier to go. So that's why they're in the trees and they're moving and they're creating this network and trying to find where they belong the most. That's why I feel like I really like the idea of having the last node be somewhere. It doesn't have to be another plane. It doesn't have to be necessarily against another big bad, but it's in the most
It's in the mycelium network.
The final form, yeah.
So first of all, Scientology, awesome. They're Thetans. It's a Thetan explosion. And that ties it together. I think it ties together both the charm and the idea of a biological disaster spread, because it's spiritual too.
It could also be we were talking about how does this impact minerals, and maybe completely non-sentient things are almost on the same level of difficulty as possession as fully sentient humans. So it's having an equally difficult time possessing rocks and minerals as it is possessing humans, but plants and animals, it's having an easier time.
I see. They're in the middle.
Yeah.
Well, I feel like the minerals are easy to possess, but once you're in there, what do you do? Maybe that becomes the way to stop them, is you actually get them trapped in rock. But then when you have too many, that's when the final golem forms, and you gotta send that back to hell or Utah. Where's Scientology? No.
They have a headquarters in Florida.
They're everywhere.
So, but I like this. So that means that we have some design space for how magic can work and how the disease can work and affect players. Because now you can do crazy stuff. You can, for example, have downtimes be moments when being exposed to this stuff gives them past life memories, from the other souls. That's something you can do. So there's lots of options here. And I think we've solved the charm versus biology issue.
So we gotta go back to the peoples now.
Peoples, right? So we've got a farmhand and a woodsman so far.
Do you want woodcutter and hunter to be separate?
Well, I said woodsman.
Yeah, woodsman versus huntsman.
Woodsman and hunter can be the same, or we can make them two different things if you want.
Like, what's the difference there besides one is going to kill animals?
Some sort of advantage related to plants, and then a different advantage related to interacting with animals.
We do a scout and a hunter. So the sense of like someone who surveys the land, like a ranger kind of, or warden sort of thing. And you have a huntsman.
But you can't be warden because that's your
it's true.
That's your kit.
So I'll put hunter in.
I think woodsman is fine, and then for hunter,
what's a stronger meaning for hunter? Like someone who really loves just killing.
Game hunter, big game hunter.
Big game hunter. That's kind of cool. That's more distinguished to me. That means in my mind I can see them as separate.
Maybe it's someone that's coming from outside the town for big game, so that it's like they're the clever girl guy. That's like they're going to be getting off on this.
So it's a Ron Swanson versus like the rich rhino hunter.
And then the farmhand is the local rube, but he knows the earth. And it's not, that's, I think it's different than the hunter. Like he doesn't know the deep woods, but he knows these hills.
The soil.
We need some kind of spiritual guide who isn't like a priest or a shaman, because that's too easy.
Fortune teller. And she's going to be the one that she's our, Monica the psychic. She's the one that's going to feel the actual thetans and whatnot.
Maybe she's the one who can foresee tiles, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe the farmhand can change something about the peril on the card, and the big game hunter, I don't know what he would do.
I think he just gets advantage on hunting or tracking or that kind of stuff. Like once you have a lead, like he's better at getting you to it.
We could have like a prince or princess role, which is just like the village chieftain's child.
The noble. And they could be very important for tiles that have some kind of social impact.
Yeah.
They have like a delegate ability, basically, where they represent. I think there should be a sixth one too. That is either a doctor, a scientist, not a mother, but like
a midwife kind of.
Yeah, midwife, like someone that can help reverse effects.
Okay. So let's play with midwife. How can we expand that a little bit more? Like a midwife, she takes care of youth and children, right?
Yeah. Well, she brings the children to
them into the world. So she's responsible for shepherding life.
I mean, she could be pulled into it because she's getting herbs. Like that's, she could be like, not, maybe she's like a witch. Like maybe she's
the opposite of a witch.
Yeah. Well, I mean, she's still a witch.
She's
She's a good witch.
Maybe the witch was the midwife, and so that's why you have the midwife. Maybe she's related to the witch in some way.
So all witches are related now? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. Well, they're all haggard.
Wow.
So interesting. Okay, and that says something about the genre, because we have, instead of saying the doctor, we're saying the midwife. That speaks to folklore specifically.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So I think that's cool. And same thing with Prince and Princess Fortune Teller. This all feels in the right vibe.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But then we also have like two outsider archetypes, which I always like to have something like that where we have three, I guess. So the fortune teller, the midwife, we're kind of putting her as not part of the village.
I see her as part of the village.
The big game hunter. I think you can go either way.
But we have a lot of room. Like we've got the big game hunter, the woodsman, the farmhand, the fortune teller, the prince or princess, and the midwife. And these all can easily be tied to pair with class as well. And as John was establishing, like we compare them to lands and aspects of the game, right? Like I think we said big game hunter's animal, right? Woodsman is plant, the farmhand's mineral. And then we've got these three other things where fortune teller has something to do with foreseeing the map and the magic itself. The spirits, the spiritual aspects of this, right? That are bound. The prince and the princess is dealing with the social impact. And then the midwife has an intimate connection to the poison, the plague of the land, and the witch herself.
How things were too. The fortune teller, the difference with her is that they're looking out to the future, whereas the midwife brings you back
into the past too.
And the other one's in the present. Oh my God! All right, animal, vegetable, visual, all the time.
We did it. Okay, now we could. Do we want to talk more about the nodes that exist?
The way I see it, because this is supposed to be a one shot, or is it supposed to be short, or are you supposed to be building a whole big campaign around this, or is that
That's
are
up
we
to the
leaving that
GM,
open?
I think. Yeah, I think all of our adventure designs here should be flexible. I could see this being a campaign. I could see it being a short. A one shot it might be tough, but I could see.
I could see a one shot, like if you really bring it to that fairy tale level of like you're just one village and you're only going like a few miles away. You're not gonna like trek across the world.
So if it was that, in my mind, it would be railroaded, which is funny because the whole gimmick is that you don't know where the fuck you go. But there'd be two hex crawls, so to speak, on either. So it'd be like starting off, going through, trying to find the witch's place, trying to find the next thing, last thing. Like that. That's like it'd be those 5 nodes, but they'd be connected. If it was longer, then I definitely think there should be specific like other villages, what other type of villages are around, what other type of features, whether they're holy spots or they're like. I feel like then it's more. And then if it's a campaign, that's a whole nother thing. That's broad strokes that you're then working on.
I think the game also suggests ways to structure it in that if the environment is moving and changing, you can then introduce biomes that shouldn't be there. So you can have like a jungle in the middle of their forest. You can have an ocean or something weird, like that, because this is all spiritual magic changing the landscape. So you could just kind of go wild if you wanted to. You could have, you wouldn't want to do like space or an astral environment, but you could do other weird biomes that we're used to seeing, like in the traditional list of biomes you see attached to a monster. Swamp, desert. Because the second they step out of the tile, they're in some other weird place.
Yeah.
So it's part of the trees or whatever. A cave underground could be a place. So maybe it's thematically terrain-based, but I always want to think about nodes as more than just locations. What else could we have beyond that?
I could see a downtime one, kind of sharing the story of how you got to be here, like why you're on this journey to begin with. Kind of similar to in Fear the Light, how you have people describe like why they're there at the...
Why they hate the 10-cent man.
Exactly, yeah.
I like the idea of tying this back into the cards too. As you start, the GM will flip a card and they'll be like, all right, if it's red, it's got to turn south. And if it's hearts, it's about like heartbreak or whatever, or diamonds is about like loss. And then spade that, and then if it's like one of the black suits, then it would go one of the two directions. So you would still be telling the story, but you're creating it's the build in session 0.
You use the deck as the prompts.
Oh, and if someone got people have the same suits, they're bonded, or same numbers. Like you could have it bond like different ways. I think that would be really cool.
That is cool.
Well, that solves that.
Let me copyright this. Let's copyright this.
About the locations that much right now. I think they kind of explained themselves. Do we feel like we have to go too much? There is a question. This leads into our question of the antagonists. We know that a very important location is the witch's cottage. We had hints of there being some kind of mycelial network or something like that out there. So is that like maybe some underground place that's creepy? Are there like pivotal cards that have to play out of the deck that will be played by the GM, and that maybe when the GM sets up the landscape with all the cards, he has secretly placed the key locations? Now the tricky part there is like you have to get to it somehow, or maybe like he has a mechanic where he can decide to play that card on top of your card when you get there. It says this is now happening, and those are the locations or the nodes that are part of his map, right? Yeah, like maybe he has the 2 jokers, and that's like the pivotal scene. The 2 jokers, right? The pivotal scenes that have to happen. The witch's cottage and maybe like the cave or something. You hold those as the GM and you place them because those are almost like your fate points, right? Like you're playing them against the map at those moments. They're not on the map yet. Because maybe if this is going to be a 3-parter, right? And then you need in the second part them to get to the cottage. When they make the next move on the deck map, you place that card down and says, okay, the next place you go is the cottage. That's what I'm saying.
Okay.
Instead of whatever's actually there. Because you literally place it on them over what they're going to get to. So they don't turn it over. You place your card down face up. And you say that's where you're.
But how do you decide when that happens? Is it just
fiat? I think. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Because you only have two to 4 of them, right? Depending how long your campaign is, how many you have.
I was thinking too, for if you were doing it as a one shot, like maybe it is just the witch's cottage. That's your final destination. That's where the boss fight happens or whatever. Or if it's a short 3 or 4 sessions, then maybe there's like 2 of those. So the witch's cottage and something further along. And then if it's a whole campaign, like maybe there is this like giant witch's coven.
You can have your own deck.
Right.
Because the GM can have a deck that he's playing against them. So we've almost built a TTRPG on top of a TTRPG. Like it's a pseudo game on top of the game, which I think.
But it's something that everyone has most people have access to or could have access to is a deck of cards. So I'm sure we could make a number version too. But I like the deck of cards, and I like you want to get like crazy, it could be tarot cards, and then we get really deep. But
oh yeah, we're gonna sell those as a specialized deck on our website, so you can buy them at alwayswearplus.com/shop, which doesn't exist yet. That's where it will be.
It will be one day.
Okay. So we feel good about that. I think the only thing left is the antagonist. If we care too much, we've talked a little bit about it.
Ultimately, the antagonist is the curse gone wild. That's the curse lifting up its shirt.
It's Haggard Teats.
It's Haggard Teats. But I think like Courtney was saying, if it's a one shot, you would have the witch as a thing, and you could even have it set up that maybe if it wasn't a one shot, or maybe with one shot you could do it. Like maybe the cards that are drawn on the way decide the fate. Like maybe they get there and they can save the witch. Maybe they get there and the witch is the baddie. Maybe they get there, the witch is dead, and whatever. And then a fourth result: rocks fall down. Everyone
That's
dies.
Another tangent of like the GM on the side could use it if he's using cards like I said are part of the main deck to play events. He could have his own deck that has to do with divining how things go. Like you're saying. So like as events happen to determine who the villain is or what their state is, he could be pulling his own cards secretly, or maybe like placing them out, and they don't know what that means. Or maybe if it's a tarot deck, they'd know what it would mean, like the hangman or this or that. That's kind of cool because it's like an extra mechanic.
I do want to draw our attention back. I'm looking at the prompt again, and the first fact tenet thing is the curse started with a plague like a swine flu. Like, what was that initial thing? Was it just like plants kind of dying off initially, or what did that look like?
I mean, we talked about them being what do you call them? Thetans. So if you have a spirit attached to you and it's making you do weird, what does that look like? Like a flu? Is it like being infected by past memories? Maybe they walk around like puppies.
Yeah, like you have weird spasms, or like you seem to like lose yourself for 5 minutes at a time or something.
Sleepwalk because you're reenacting a past life or something. Maybe some behavior that the spirit attached to you does because it's part of the virus. Like it hasn't totally corrupted you yet. You're not part of the hive mind. You're temporarily infected by it, right?
Ooh, so maybe what if you were like for OSR Plus? What if you were to get like new flaws or something? Like you would get like something would change.
Yeah, you get stress. Stress probably is another mechanic to introduce through the effect.
Or it'd just be you're succumbing to the Thetans. Are they gonna sue us if we keep saying this?
Probably. It's okay. We don't have any money.
So. We don't have any money.
Good luck.
Take all my. I'm gonna draw you a bunch of money with AI. Here you go.
Okay, that's great. I feel good about the antagonist. I mean, well, I just want to say, like, we talked about the antagonist as hag monster, right? Obviously, there could be antagonists as Mind Flayer from Stranger Things. It's this larger mushroom monster, right? That's out there. But it could also be like some political machination, that's the villain is human and they're the ones behind it. That's another boring way, but it's possible.
Another hag. More haggard. But we did talk about the rock golem, which is, I think the rock golem is the culmination of all of a bunch of things, coming together. And I think destroying that physical form would send them loose, send them like into the sky.
I can picture this like mound of like roots and rocks and human faces taking physical form, biology and roots, and animal heads.
Very like Akira-esque.
Yeah. It's out there in the forest doing.
We put up now? Is that what's left?
Oh, right.
Time for our twist. As always, I have to admonish Courtney for rolling monsters. Don't roll a monster, please, God. So that's the first thing. Now, our choices are monster, genre, adventure type, and story hook.
Want me to do a D4?
Yeah, I guess.
It's on you now. I can get a choice.
Which number is monster?
1.
I swear D4s are like not as random as they should be. There's something about the shape. They just don't roll as well.
Always seems like a 25% chance to get a number.
Weird, yeah.
D20.
A 12.
A banshee.
Interesting.
Well, banshees, children, for the children watching, are I have some information about here because it's in my monster manual. So usually they're female spirits bound to either a psychical font that has to do with the nature of their death or the death of their loved ones. They tend to be beautiful and alluring until they scream at you and then you die. They're drawn to locations where death is about to happen, and they're known to be predictors of death. Obviously, their trademark ability is the death wail. And some disabilities they may have is that they can't cross running water, and they're vulnerable to silver, and they have your typical ghostly effects otherwise. That's your traditional banshee. They're also haggard.
Also, I gotta be sure of that.
After they scream.
They have great safety for that.
My mind went to a depressing place, of course, of like, what if it's related to midwives in some way, like, or like the spirits of babies and mothers who like died in childbirth, essentially. Something sad like that.
Was the witch trying to save children in some way, or
Oh, maybe. Yeah.
maybe save her daughter's child or something like that?
What if the witch is really pro-life and she gets her wish and all the aborted babies came back and now they're the Thetans?
Oh my god.
Oh my god, I do like the idea of the Thetans being youths. Maybe they're unborn children.
No, so I think that's what I like this. And what if maybe the banshees? No, so I think the Thetans are, because that's the plague.
They're dead babies.
But then there's also banshees around that are mothers that died in childbirth,
Um,
and they're like
okay.
they're kind of like they're tied in somehow because magic. We'll just let that.
it's very folklore-y.
Yeah. So we still have the banshees like being and that's like the thing that you're, besides fighting the hive mind stuff. There's the banshees. They're not part of the hive mind. They're untouchable by it. They can't cross water though, apparently. but they're connected. Like that's, you find out that why they have returned is because these babies looking for homes, and they're also pro-life.
I love it. Pro-life banshees. That's the title of the episode.
God.
Yeah, that'll get views.
Like wipes. Yeah, I was gonna say.
And it's not lurid. So I can write pro-life banshees. I'm saying it there with pro-life banshees. That's why the caption comes up.
Well, another way to think about the banshees would be like if they are mothers who died in childbirth, but they're seeking out their children who are still alive. They're still holding on to their family and they don't want to depart yet or something.
Are the players the children that they are seeking out?
I was gonna say, what if there's two types of banshees? There's the ones that died in childbirth and have children still alive, and there's some that don't have any children alive. And the ones that don't have any children alive are miserable, and they're just trying to, like, they're nothing but nuisance. But the ones that do have children alive, they're hags. But no, but the ones that do have children alive, that could be the players, or it could be like you can reason with them to a certain extent.
And the midwife would definitely have some sort of bonus there. Yeah.
That gives her now a mechanical tie-in.
Like influence of some sort. Yeah. I will say I'm iffy on Souls of the Unborn just because that does get into like issues.
We can let the GM tread that water. It could be a mix. It could be like unborn children and dead children, because it's the past and the future. We need to talk about the directions being things.
I mean, they could be caught in the cycle of outside the cycle of reincarnation. Like you could make it so it's not. But right now we're talking about literally babies that you all have killed. IUDs count. IUDs count. You're killing babies.
Condoms count.
Every sperm is sacred.
Wow.
That's the name of the game. The game is Every Sperm is Sacred.
Sacred. Sacred.
That's the RPG.
Oh God. That'll definitely attract the kind of players we want to attract.
That's all, folks.
Good work, T.
I'd still play it.
Even if it was called Every Sperm is Sacred, I'd play this. I mean, I would definitely pick it up off the shelf and go, what the f is this? And then I read the back cover. I'm like, what? Unborn child banshee, pro-life banshees? And I'd be like, this doesn't make sense. And I open it up. I'm like, actually, this is kind of cool.
All you need is a deck of cards and some D6s.
Yep. And some like-minded friends. Whatever way you want to go. Just make sure you're all on the same page. Oh, all right. Well done, everyone. Sleep soundly with that under our belts.
Bye.
You can follow us at OSR Plus on YouTube or join our Discord at osrplus.com. If you want to support us, visit our Patreon, patreon.com/OSR Plus for early access to our content and premium access to our digital tools. See you next time.